Hello, Edson Oliveira here. This is the DNN monthly chat, the Christmas, the end of the year edition. We are all dressed up with our, Santa's hats. And today, aside from the usual suspects, Joe, Scott, we have a visitor who said that he will be quiet here. Let's see how long he will be quiet there. We have David Poindexter as well. And not that David is not a special guest, but we have a special guest. We have Gifford Watkins. He is a Canadian that has been in the DNN space for quite a long time, and we're gonna talk to you, Giff. I'm looking at your name, Gifford, and we're gonna talk to you in a second. But again, guys, welcome to this, wrap up this episode, wrapping up the year. I'd like to start by just quickly mention that DNN 9.2 will only be coming on Q1 of 2018, and for the disappointment of some, maybe not too many, but my little disappointment there, liquid content will not be there yet. So I will not have the experience of bathing myself with liquid content yet. It will come at some point. I think that, in a later quarter of 2018, liquid content will come, but I'm really looking forward to get my hands on that piece of software from, that used to be only on Evoke. That's just a side note here about DNN 9.2. Again, nothing else to report there. Guys, anybody else there? Anybody want to report anything there on DNN 9.2? Anything?
There have been some exciting enhancements to the prompt to allow for a little bit better extendability, and it got rolled in, so we're excited about that.
Okay, so exactly 2.5 minutes. That's David, who was gonna be quiet, and he came in right away. That's great. I caught you, David. Anyway, great. Thank you, David. Again, by all means, just come in anytime you want here, please. There will be a lot that you can contribute as well. I want to quickly segue to blogs, to content that is being putting out there during the month. Actually, content in general. If you have a look at the content that has been created through the year, this last quarter after the new DNN, the new acquisition, content has been spiking. Now we have content coming through the DNN Store blog as well. So quite a few posts on the DNN Store blog, and I'm gonna start by mentioning a post from Clint Patterson, and I have my notes here, and I'm gonna get $1 every time that I mention Clint's name. So again, you're gonna see Clint's name quite a lot here, but I want to start with his post on the DNN blog, the DNN Store blogging guidelines. It's just a set of, let's put it this way, best practices or things that you should be mindful about if you are part of the DNN Store and if you want to blog there. So you should definitely check that out to make sure that you're not, yes, we market ourselves there, but again, let's mix good content with a little bit of marketing there. Let's mix that well, and that's really what the guidelines are about. It's making a good balance between providing value, providing content, and marketing yourselves as well as a member of the DNN Store. So that's the first one. The other one, that's the DNN Store guideline from Clint. Again, guys, if any one of you wants to jump in, by all means, feel free. Want to mention as well another blog from Jeff Barlow. I was not aware that he had an SEO toolbox module, and it's not. It seems to be going on for quite a while, so I was not aware of that. I saw on this blog post that he put together, talking about how to utilize this module to cover some of the on-site SEO aspects of websites. And it talks about being able to control robots.txt from the interface, being able to control a bunch of stuff. You can quickly go through the different pages on the website, fixing meta tags that might be missing, fixing page titles. So great module. Again, I was not aware that Jeff had a module like that, but here's the module, and there is a blog post that goes together explaining a little bit more about this particular module called SEO Toolbox from our friend Jeff Barlow in the Netherlands. Another blog post from the DNN store it's from our friend Mitchell Sellers talking about SSL implementation best practices. If you need, actually, not if you need, I mean, if you are on the web, if you have a DNN website, and if you don't have it secure yet, you should definitely check this blog post from Mitchell talking about which aspects you should be mindful about, you should be aware of in terms of implementing SSL on your DNN website, and even on other types of sites as well. It's important to any type out there. SSL implementation best practices. Okay, I want to quickly mention a challenge from DNN Sharp. That's Bogdan Litescu, the company, DNN Sharp, and he's saying that if his hosting provider, his hosting business there, doesn't enhance the performance of your DNN website, you're gonna get $1,000 in modules and services from DNN Sharp. So again, you may want to take him up on his word here. He's promising that if you move hosting to their facilities, you're gonna see a huge performance, a big performance improvement. And again, if you don't see that, you're gonna get $1,000 voucher to use with his own products. A bit self-serving, if I may say, Bogdan, but that's okay. That's okay. I understand where you're coming from. So again, if you want to take him up on that, by all means, do that. I'm talking fast because it's a lot that we need to cover today. What else? Actually, before I jump to blog posts, I want to acknowledge our visitor here, Gifford. Let's talk, Gifford. First of all, explain what that is. I mean, explain what that smoke is. I mean, does it have anything to do with Canada opening up the market to some stuff, some new stuff? Is that it?
No, it's frankincense.
It's frankincense. Okay, you have to unpack that. Unpack that for me, please.
Well, it's Christmas, so I thought I would diffuse some frankincense. It's an essential oil.
Oh, so how does that smell there?
It smells like frankincense.
Okay. Okay, you know what?
Smells like the Jewish temple 4,000 years ago.
Let me step back here. The way I have my notes here describing Gifford, I have a keyword here. I have flamboyant. Gifford is a flamboyant individual. Why is that, Gifford? Why can I describe you as a flamboyant individual?
I prefer charismatic, but
they go what together?
Well, I think probably what I bring to the table, and it's always been a mystery to some folks why I was recognized as an MVP, but it's really pretty simple. What I've focused on since becoming involved in the .NET New community is relationships. And it was relationships that prompted me to be more publicly vocal about the technology. For the first few years using .NET Nuke, I went into meetings with a non-disclosure agreement. I did not want anybody to know that I was using an open source product. And it was only after Will Stroll contacted me and asked me to speak at the first day of .NET Nuke conference in Tampa that I decided that I would be more open around open source. So I flew down to Florida before the conference and met with Brian Scarborough and talked to him about the future of .NET Nuke. I didn't want to embarrass myself by getting involved in a community that could have been fly by night. And he assured me that the community was fairly sound. And at that point, I picked up, actually, he gave me a signed copy of .NET Nuke 5, the manual. And the forwards that were in there were written by Sean Walker, Scott Wilhite, of course, Nick and Joe as well. But it was Scott and Sean that really inspired me to see the kind of people, investigate the kind of people that were involved in the leadership positions in the community. And so I forged fairly decent relationships with the co-founders and decided to publicly begin a leadership role here in Nova Scotia. So I started a user group, and basically we met every Friday for years, and a bunch of us came down to the conference in Florida. So I guess flamboyant, sure, but charismatic. I love people. I love the people that are involved in this community. I have very deep relationships with many of the MVPs, and these relationships are all based around our personal lives. So while I work with a lot of the MVPs on a professional basis, for the most part, my clients and the people that we serve know me best for my approach to relationships. So,
got it. So let's unpack that a little bit further. First is that usually, and I would say that I'm a bit of an exception there as well. But usually when we talk about people involved in DNN, they usually are involved. Usually, and again, I'm not trying to make a blank statement here, but usually from a technical standpoint, they are involved technically. And I know that this is not your angle. You mentioned about people connections, and I think that you gave a hint about that, but unpack a little bit more, a little bit further. I guess that why you connected with DNN, because as I say, from a true sense of being a technical, I think that you are technical enough, but that's not your major forte, your major angle there. What's your major angle then?
Well, my major angle since developing what I would call an airtight and best of business model. So my angle has been to approach .NET Nuke from a non-technical standpoint. And so what I've done is I've stood by people who have adopted .NET Nuke as their go-to platform. And we've supported a lot of the partners and folks that are offering .NET Nuke at a deeper level. So my organization remains behind the curtains. And we work for a lot of fairly big organizations, federal and university, Fortune 500 companies. But most of the work that we do is behind the scenes. But as far as publicly, and what I've tried to do is approach people, and the majority of if you've ever been to one of my talks at the conferences, the majority of my platform resides on how to build the sustainable .NET Nuke company. And in order to do that, what I've done is I've emphasized the nature of bringing human relationships and standing by people. Instead of being a website company that builds a website and goes away, I've encouraged people to engage on a much more profound and partnership level. So, for instance, some of the business models that I've introduced are the 100 times 100. So if you as an entrepreneur can get out there and find 100 clients that are willing to get on 12 hours annual support at $100 a month each, then you're looking at $120,000 a year for a salary. You can exclude or include the hosting in that. But basically what I've wanted to do, because it's not just my business that's built on .NET Nuke, it's my life. Okay, at the age of 35, I was gainfully employed as a union worker in mental health. And when I made the jump, I've been designing website since 1996. But when I began to look at .NET Nuke and investigate different business models, I was able to quit my job. I was able to work from home. I was able to get to that point that I wanted to be in since high school, which is sustainability from home. I have a company I run from home. I have a recurring revenue business model. Our clients don't just jump on 12-hour annual support plans. I have clients that are on 96 to 120-hour annual support plans. So the 100 times 100 is a good base model, but it's not very uncommon for me to approach new potential clients and say, you know, listen, you need an IT guy in your corner for your marketing. You need a digital package. You need me in the cubicle at the end of the hall. What have you got? What can you free up from a marketing standpoint? And so we're getting clients that are signing up for $200 and $400 a week, bringing us on board. And .NET Nuke allows us to be able to put into place business critical applications. So it's not just a website, it's the business. It's the entire starting point and ending point. So people that see the value of having a portal in place instead of a website.
Got it. So if I may ask,
much, please.
Sorry, if I may ask, so is the solutions that you bring to the table for your clients, you are still strong with the DNN platform, correct? I mean, is that your main go-to, tool to deliver value to your clients?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes in this conversation. We will support any platform until it doesn't make sense to do so.
I get it.
So we're not going to turn away somebody who's running a different kind of technology. What we bring to the table is far and above and beyond just a website. But for the most part, yeah, 90% of our clients, new clients that come to the table, it's a no-brainer. We set them up on DNN and start there.
Got it. Okay, guys, if anyone has a question for Gifford, please, by all means, come forward, okay? I don't want to be the one interrogating Gifford alone here. Gifford, let me ask this. You mentioned about the strategy, 100 times 100. I would assume that you see businesses trying to make it happen within the DNN space and even beyond DNN space. Do you see them failing, and how would you, I mean, is that your main strategy? What would you tell for someone that would like to start a new endeavor in the DNN space as a solo practitioner, as a solo business owner? I mean, is that your main, I'd say, strategy? Is that the 100 times 100?
Well, that's my mission as far as how I've gone about trying to maintain and introduce the community that we have. I mean, Andy Treba's put up a graph of the declining interest in .NET Nuke. This is something that has occurred over the past few years. But I've worked with a lot of people in the .NET Nuke ecosystem, people that have gone to conferences. I've counseled them privately and coached them. And so there are a lot of .NET Nuke entrepreneurs that are out there. And of course, I help them find, the appropriate hosting solution for them if they're not server administrators. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to engage the non-technical community. Yeah, they're developers. They can build a website, the majority of them, right? But the business model is firm, right? And my challenge has always been to go to these conferences, show my business model as transparently and as open source as possible. This is how you can make a company grow. This is how you can reach sustainability. This is how you can work from home. This is how you can spend more time with your family. This is how to improve the general overall quality of your life. Okay. Look at me. I did it. Okay, and I've been recognized and asked to speak at conferences because of this sole factor. And my business model was in place before DNN formed as a corporation, and DNN came up with their own brand of .NET Nuke, and they offered that on an annual contract basis. And now Andy's launched a new campaign to do the exact same thing. You can jump on a business plan for supporting your community edition. So obviously I'm on the right track here, or there wouldn't be folks in the ecosystem that are generating the revenue that they're generating. I would love to be able to find additional resources to make this more mainstream. We really do need a solidified marketing push, and it should be in cooperation with Microsoft and with the foundation. We'd really like to see this come out. I'm sure that all of you guys, when you're out there surfing on the web or seeing the .NET Nuke Google ads are popping up in your feeds, it doesn't matter where you go. So it would be great to see some kind of cohesion from a community level, because we do want younger folks, right? We're getting older. We're the older generation. We've been early adopters, but there's nobody sitting here at this round table right now that doesn't have gray hair. So love to see younger folks getting in. Hey, at the last MVP meeting, most of the people didn't have hair, so little younger group. But that's always been, and this is my way of contributing back. Sean Walker in 2002 decided that he was going to open this up as open source, and I built my life on this. And so out of respect for him and his generosity, I've wanted to follow suit. A great Canadian, a generous man. These are the kinds of people that I'd like to see other people aspire to be more like, be more generous. Give away your modules, offer the support, offer the relationship. Let's stop selling software. Let's start being relationship people and supporting and seeing our clients through the success cycle.
Actually, you brought a good point, which I had something similar here in mind to ask you. If as a developer, I don't have any modules on the DNN store, should I start developing modules as a strategy to start a business within the DNN space and selling that? Or the better approach, as you just alluded to that, the better approach would be, I have a few ideas here of modules, let me put them together, let me open source them, let me get my name out there, and then that hopefully will generate a virtuous cycle that business will be generated out of that. My point, let me shorten my point. If I'm a module developer, should I sell or should I open source my modules?
Well, it's a decision that you're going to have to, you're just going to have to make that decision yourself. It depends on how much, if you want to sell a module and not support it, then there's going to be there could be some negative impacts with that. Releasing modules is always a risk, simply because of the, we've seen some of the security risks that are inherent within the core. We've seen a lot of module people reeling as a result of that, trying to get their patches in, and then you've got bungled notifications and emails going out about specific vendors who are, obviously trying to maintain their product offerings. But for me, it's a really simple thing. I try to bring everything to the table. If I need to bring a module in or introduce a module, whether it's paid for, whether it's open source, I make sure that the developer is aware, hey, listen, we're going to put your module into a business critical app. We need this module to work. We can't install this without your support. So we need to partner up with you. It can't just be something that you grab and throw up there and hope for the best. Your reputation is on the line. And when you introduce a module or a theme or a skin to your clients, you need to be able to back that. So it's a good question whether or not folks should be open sourcing their modules. I think that support is something that is far more important than a module. I can take the module and introduce it into a scenario, and 90% of the time the module that you're going to introduce isn't configured the way that the client demands. So you need to make some tweaks and modifications. Unless you own the source code for that, you're not going to be able to do that. So you need the module, you need the code, you need the code writer to be involved in that. And in order to do that, they need to make themselves available. So I've installed modules that I've paid plenty of money for, with reassurances that the module developer is going to stand by their product. And then when I go to engage that module developer, because they don't offer a support plan for their product, it's stand in line, right? You sell a module for $250 and you don't stand by it, you don't get any support with it, you're not guaranteed any support with it, you're doing introducing that on a handshake, then you're rolling the dice.
I get it.
One of the most common questions that I'm asked when I'm seated at the board, or with the board at the table, is, hey, all of this is great, but our number one concern is what happens if you get hit by a bus. So ask yourself, hey, can I put this module in, and will I survive if the module writer gets hit by a bus?
I get it. Great points. Let's bring conversation to 2017. What happened in the last quarter? The changes with DNN Corp. Positive, neutral, negative. I'm quite sure that you're not negative on that. But my question is, how do you see, these changes in the DNN space? What is happening there? Again, I don't need to explain what's going on, but tell me, how do you see everything that's going on right now?
I think that what took place before Andy stepped in was becoming an extremely hostile relationship, a caustic relationship at best. In Andy's blog, he mentions that DNN Corp has neglected the needs of the community. I don't believe that's true. I think that .NET New Corp was extremely aggressive in attempting to decimate and destroy the leadership of the community. And I think that while that didn't bode well with a lot of folks did something about it. One of the things that I did, immediately realizing that we were now in a hostile witness situation, is to gather and work with the MVPs. So we've had a lot of private groups and a lot of meetings. And as a result of that, we've seen some firm action take place. The first being the DNN Connect Association. DNN Connect Association is not a ragtag band of volunteers. This is an organization that's registered in Switzerland. Peter Donker, Vincent, Kathy, these guys, Declan, these guys have formed something that's a legitimate business entity. So, and why did that take place? Originally, it took place because of the lack of confidence and the fear that DNN Corp, who was acting like a drunken bear, might do something that would further isolate the community, close the source, or shut down the stewardship. So everything a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, was all around when do we fork? When do we fork? When have we had enough of DNN Corp? Okay, when have we had enough abuse? So for Andy to come in and step in and basically kick the venture capitalists out of the equation, that calms the water a little bit. At least now we know that DNN Corp isn't desperately trying to
make money, have revenue,
grow their company despite the community. So I think it's good. It remains to be seen. We see a lot more action now on GitHub. We see that they're squashing bugs. They're we might see the best release of DNN since Sean Walker was the CEO. That's where I'd like to see things go. And if you followed some of my social media stances, you know, I'm not just being hopelessly romantic about the way things used to be with DNN. DNN has a visible leader, and that leader is Sean Walker. He's the father of the community. He was lauded and applauded and celebrated when we were in Malou, and the reaction from DNN Corp was to kick him out of the MVP program. So I was elated to see that he was sitting with the MVPs. I'd like to see some more acknowledgement around rectifying that kind of damage. And it's probably not damage to anyone else but me. Again, I've built my life around the words that the co-founders penned when they brought .NET Nuke into existence. So, you know, this is my life, right? I'm very passionate about my life, right? Constantly celebrating my life as a result of what these men have done.
No,
so,
and again,
love to see.
And I don't think that I think that everybody here, at least in this panel, you know, we have a lot to thank, you know, DNN in general. I mean, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing for the past 11 years if it was not for DNN. David, let me ask you this, if you may want to give your 2 cents here. As the guy that is leading the partner, how do we call that advisory group? Is it the partnership group?
Yes, the Partners Ecosystem Advisory Group. So there's 4 ecosystem advisory groups: partners, awareness, technology, and developers. And I'm just facilitating the partners group.
Got it.
I did attend Will's awareness first group meeting that he had. It was really good, very encouraging. And there's a lot of communications already going on in the developers group as well with Peter Docker, and they're making some good strides.
Perfect. So my point being, Gifford, that again, I mean, David is a great, David and David's group will be a great outlet, you know, to surface things like, you know, ecosystem partnership and ideas. And I think that it will be it will be very interesting. I mean, again, it's really up to you. You know, we have our priorities and our time, but it would be interesting to have you involved on that. Anything else that I know you want to highlight from what's going on? Are you going to be going to DNN Summit this coming February?
You're asking me?
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, Gifford. Yes, I'm asking you. Yes.
I don't know. The jury's still out on that. I've boycotted the last series of DNN meetings because of my angst towards DNN Corp. So, jury's still out on that.
Here?
Joe?
Sure.
I think I'll keep my mouth shut. I will just point out that there has been a terrific resurgence in the DNN community, probably going back 3 years, and we're headed into the third in a series of DNN community meetings. And I think one of the really nice things is that the community that's grown up around DNN is not the same thing as DNN Corp. You know, so the community has been living and I think growing even with and or without the cooperation of the corporation. I'm really excited about the changes that are occurring both within the corp and within the community following the acquisition. And I don't think it's surprising, you know, when a new energetic entity comes in and essentially has purchased DNN Corp and is now running it, I don't think it's surprising to see energy and action. Sometimes that's not viewed by the community as positive, and sometimes it is viewed as positive. And I think the initial actions that Andy Treba and EWS Capital have taken, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Now, it's been 3 months. As with most things, the jury is still out, but they are continuing to do what I think are forward-looking, positive things. I sat in on the Awareness Advisory Group meeting with David. Addison is also a member of that group, and there has been, have we done anything and accomplished anything yet? Well, we had a meeting. Having meetings is not accomplishing things. But if you look at the people who were involved in that group, these are all people who are passionate about DNN and the community, and are looking forward to making awareness of DNN our priority within that. Yes, I think we're all excited to see Sean playing a role in DNN again, but remember, he's a part of the community now. He's not, he's a very important part of the community, but he's not running the organization. I don't think he has any interest in running the organization, but
awesome. Okay.
People are coming out of the woodwork, re-engaging with the community. And since David is sitting here, I'd just like to give a real big shout out to all of our friends in the Charlotte area who have kept the user group model running and broken new ground by taking it worldwide and universe-wide to aliens who have internet connections. So I think there's really a lot of good stuff going on. And yes, I'm excited about seeing liquid content. I think we're going to start calling it structured content based on what was said. But very, very positive developments in the community. The technology group is going to be making recommendations to DNN Corp. And DNN Corp is looking themselves at keeping the product, the platform, in sync with developments in technology. So I think there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And I think it's important that we in the community aid in that effort, whine when it's appropriate and cheer when it's appropriate. It's all soapboxes done.
Awesome. Again, great point, Joe.
Let me just interject this for a second, Joe. It's a really good point that you bring up about the user groups. Yay, it's great that Charlotte and the guys down there, I mean, we just love them all. They have wonderful conferences. Not a whole lot of conferences you're going to come away with a bottle of moonshine, so I thought that was pretty cool. But
jar.
One of the casualties of DNN Corp was the decimation of the technology that supported the user group. You used to be able to go to .netnuke.com. You used to be able to search in your area for active user groups. We had dozens and dozens. Maybe as many as 100 at one point, right? People that took it upon themselves to engage with the people in their community. I mean, I think it's great for us to sit around and talk, but we're separated by hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles. right? Let's empower local users. Let's, Microsoft has a really strong .NET group, because they have the technology in place, the portal technology to support the formation of local user groups. So why was that abandoned? Again, to me, that's a very aggressive move to destroy leadership in the community. So maybe one of the things that we can bring to the table as advisors, as advisor group leaders is, let's reinstate that, okay? If Joe Bob out in California wants to start a .NET Nuke user group, why shouldn't the technology exist for that? Why are we not supporting those kinds of grassroots initiatives?
That's a great point. And actually, we have the awareness group. I mean, we should definitely bring that up to the awareness group to push the agenda to get that reinstated. I mean, I'm an example. I was part of a local user group here, and again, we are no longer around. I'm sure that people are still involved with DNN, but they're just quiet on their own. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point, Gifford. Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Anderson?
Yes.
Was the demise of your local user group more related to local people or more related to the corporation? How would you? I was involved in a local user group, and its problem was people, not.
No, I mean, that's a good point, a fair point. I think that it was people. I mean, I didn't step up to lead the group, and nobody else kept it going. So it fall apart. So, I mean, there might.
Well, I think Gifford's point was that it's not enough to. I mean, how do you keep and retain those people and the excitement around it to make sure that you guys can meet every month? Because same thing with us, the Chicago DNN user group. So we're kind of relegated to just kind of occasionally having just a few little video chats here and there because the attendance was so low. Why is the attendance low? Is because people aren't hearing about it. And I think to Gifford's point was, there's just no focus on not only there's nothing on the DNN site that to show that, hey, we have these groups, which would then get people drawn to them, right? So it's hard to say, well, because people stopped showing up. Well, it's because there was no, you have to have enough marketing around it, nationally, to where people will go, oh, hey, I'm new here because I found out about it, from the main hub, which is DNN, now DNNsoftware.com, before it was .NETnuke.com.
I get it. Well, again, it's a great point to bring to the awareness group to get a resurgence of that. Let's get things going, because I still have a few topics, but we'll reconnect, Gifford, before we say our goodbyes here. Okay, so blog posts on the main DNN software website. Talk about transparency. That was the first time that we had an MVP meeting that was recorded and publicly made available. Clint, I just want to complain that you cut the only part that I spoke there. You cut it out because it was it was a nudity related joke. So I mean, come on, man. I mean now I'm on that talk and I'm not talking at all. I cannot stop talking and I'm not talking at all there. And the only joke is out the equation. Hate you. Okay, so anyway, the full recording is there for anyone that wants to watch a 1 hour, people chatting about stuff in DNN as we're doing here. Again, very good to have that open publicly to see what's the big deal. And is there a big deal on being an MVP? That's really it, guys. MVP is this. I mean, look at the video. You're gonna see what we do there. Okay, another one here. Let's see. Just a call to action here from Dennis Chow from DNN Corp, asking for sponsorships for the DNN Summit 2018. Again, if you have a few, if you are a company out there involved in the DNN space, by all means, let's support the event. And if you want to be any sponsor, they are still open for sponsorships. I'm sure, isn't it? Guys, again, Joe.
Absolutely.
Great.
We won't turn away anyone with money.
Great, awesome. So I will talk about the event in a little bit. Another blog post here, it's from Peter Donker talking about Prompt, Persona Bar, and NV QuickSight, which are, it's a very well put together post talking about how they can help each other, those different facets of DNN. Now DNN2 with coming with prompts and the new persona bar. And again, we have in our panel the creator, the god guy behind NV QuickSight, which I use every single week. I have the DNN tip of the week. I have to bring down my previous version, bring up a new one. In 2 minutes, I have it done because of this awesome NV QuickSight. David, I'm waiting for the check in the mail, okay?
You're killing my messaging, Anderson. I always say less than 1 minute, and you just said 2 minutes, man. What, are you just like sleeping through the UX there, or
Sorry.
what?
You know what?
David, he's an honest man, not a shameless marketeer.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you. At one point, I've tested, and I said, it's over a minute. I was crazy to say that it would be under a minute, but it was just over a minute, and I rounded up to 2 minutes.
And we can focus on NV QuickSight. I mean, that's a product that has a pedigree that probably goes back 12, 13 years, and it was not dying. It had died and was buried in obscurity when David found the bones, picked it up. What was the guy's name? Mike something.
Yeah, his name is escaping me right now, but Mike Vandermule or something like that, or Vandermeulen.
Yeah. And he was quite happy to pass it on to David.
Actually, no, just to correct that, it's actually not his code base at all.
No, I was going to say, and David took the idea and turned it into a modern thing, and it's just. Can I say you did a fantastic job with that? I mean, it really is as good as David claims, even if it takes 2 minutes.
You just settle future and where the vision is going next. So it's only get better from here.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just an example of a little idea that became an absolutely indispensable thing for people who, even if they know what they're doing, need to install a DNN site. It completely removes the thought process, and it's terrific.
No question about that. Scott, I know that you have to depart in a bit. Scott, is there anything from your side that you want to cover, you want to mention? Because I know that you have to go.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry I have to leave a little early. I think on your agenda, the only thing you were going to ask me about maybe was the expert panel that we did, which was nice, module development. So I was just excited to be on a panel with Peter Donker, Brian Dukes, Mandeep, who everyone knows. And you got to hear a little bit about module development, best practices, how we handle security, performance, that kind of stuff. And from different perspectives, right? You have Brian Dukes and me, who are mainly working for a client, building modules for clients, customization for clients, like Gifford would do. And then you have people like Peter and Mandeep who are coming from the angle of being vendors, and what's, you can kind of see the differences between how we think and what we choose to do. So yeah, I was proud to be part of that. I think there was over 100 people on that webinar. And I know across all those different expert panel webinars, there's an administration one, right? And probably, 500 people there. So obviously there's some interest there, again, going back to the user group, if we could have plugged user groups at the end, then that's the icing on the cake. But yeah, or somehow funnel these people in from attending a webinar to then getting involved.
Got it. Awesome. I would assume that at some point there will be a recording that will be made available, because I look for
It was sent out.
It was sent out?
I viewed it as a recording, yeah.
Well, because
Yeah,
I was...
I can give you the link.
Please, because I wasn't able to find the recording to share the link here. But yeah. So again, Scott, thank you very much. If you need to depart, by all means, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so let's get this going here. Blog post here from Clint Patterson summarizing. Actually, this is a digest. This is a December digest where he talks about everything that's going on. And I found there's an interesting section there called tips from support. Very good. So I'll be following that very closely. He also interviewed, Andrew Hufflin. And it seems that he's starting to do some interviews to spotlight people in the community. If we keep going here, yeah, that's what I just mentioned about Clint doing some interviews called Ecosystem Spotlight. The first one was with Andrew Hufflin, and that was about that one. Let me see here. What else we have? Another video here is the expert panel, which is talking about DNN administration tools that make your job easier. We had David Poindexter talking about Prompt. We have Dave Prompt, Kelly Ford Dave Poindexter talking about NV QuickSight, Kelly Ford about Prompt, and Ryan Moore talking about Evotiva Backup. So a very good video to watch if you are, if you don't know about those tools and if you want more information about NV QuickSight, Prompt, and Evotiva Backup, which is a very good package to perform backups of your websites. Okay, carrying on here, a recap of N3Bus. How do they call it? They call that the Virtual User Conference, which happened back in December 6th. It was a bit quick, half an hour recap of what had happened during the first 3 months of his tenure, of his administration of DNN. So it was a bit, just a quick recap. And if you are following the DNN space, most of them you got to know already. One thing that I just want to highlight that I was not aware of that in a conversation that I had with Dennis Chow, he said that now DNN Corp is completely virtual. There's no offices anymore. So it's very interesting to know that. I hope that that's working out for DNN Corp. We see other companies doing that as well. And again, I wish that this is working out well for DNN Corp. It's less expensive. At the end of the day, why you need a physical space, to make a business run. So many examples of remote. I mean, even WordPress, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if it's the entire company, but most of the company is all remote as well. Sorry, I had to mention the WP word here. Maybe I'll blip this out, Okay, what else we have here? What else? Gifford is hiding now. Okay, let Gifford there. I'll bring him back towards the end. Let's talk a little bit about resources. Yeah, I came across this resource. I'm not sure if he was the one that built that but no question he was the one promoting that. Dennis Chow again. I got an email from DNN Corp talking about this resource, this ebook on how to do a performance audit of your .NET website. So very interesting. I've downloaded that. There are quite a few good tips there if you want to improve the performance of not only DNN but a .NET website in general as well. That's this one. Another resource here that I came across is how to create and customize themes for your DNN website. It's a 30 minutes product webinar talking about how to customize themes, getting to know more about how to create themes, create skins, what they used to be called skins. It's a video and I'm sharing the link to that as well. Scott had just mentioned about the expert panel that happened around module development. I will share the recording once I get the recording link from him, but he mentioned a few minutes ago about the DNN module development panel discussion. Talking about events now, let's talk a little bit about that. Hey, we have DNN Connect that was announced. It will be in Ireland this time, in Limerick, from May 31st, 2018 to June 3rd, of course, 2018 as well. Seems to be, quite nice views there. I won't make promises, but I'm planning to do something and maybe get the family together and do go there for this trip. Again, I'm just gonna mention that, but I'm not sure. But I'd love to do that and be able to connect with the DNN Connect crew as well. More about that as we go along, as we have more information, as the following months unfold. And we have at some point DNN Summit behind us. More will come about that. And again, now let's talk a little bit about our North American event, DNN Summit, going on from February 6th to February 10th. I still have to sign up. I still have to buy my tickets. I still have to book hotel. I'm late, guys. Don't be late, please, because I think that the pricing, the beta pricing for accommodation will only go to January 8th. Is that correct, Joe? January 8th?
I think it's January 6th.
Is it?
Since you mentioned it, we have kept the so-called early bird price in place into January. And this was done to help out people who maybe wanted to make their purchases out of 2018 budgets rather than 2017 budgets, which get a little thin at the end of the year. So for those who have postponed this process to early January, please remember to register early and save yourself a few $100 per ticket. The hotel room block is safe until I think the 23rd of January. And tickets for the DNN on the Slopes event have been available since the 1st of December, and people are signing up for that as well. I hear Poindexter is renting an entire 12-story facility to house all of his friends for that. So
where did you hear that?
I won't. I'm not giving away all of the secrets. And this is primarily a North American event, but we have people already signed up from about as far away on the planet as you can be and still get to Denver, Colorado. More than one person, I will add. So here's the pitch. We were talking earlier about what's gone wrong and what we hope is going right in the world of DNN, which includes the DNN community. If you are serious about DNN, come to DNN Summit in February in Denver and talk to the people from the corporate side to the community side. Find out what kind of group you've gotten yourselves into. Ask questions of the decision makers. Andy Treba will be making the opening keynote address at DNN Summit. And Sean Walker will be making a closing keynote address. So we basically got the world of DNN covered from its very beginning to its current state. Most of the people whose names we mentioned today being involved in the various ecosystem awareness groups will be in attendance, particularly the leaders. I know 3 of the leaders of the 4 groups will be there. I'm not sure if Peter has decided he can make the trek over from Switzerland or not this year. But this is your chance to come learn about DNN, but also learn about the corporation and the community that you're involved in, and make your decision to get involved. Stay an extra couple of days and go skiing or snowboarding or snow tubing or snowmobiling up in Winter Park, Colorado. Sing some rousing songs around the fire at night. What else? This year, DNN Summit is a 3-day event. All of our previous events have been 2 days. Come on Tuesday the 6th for world-class training from Adderson, from Scott Wilkinson, from Anthony Overcamp, and who did I leave out?
Ryan Moore.
Ryan Moore. For those of you who have business-related interests around DNN, on Tuesday afternoon, there is a business roundtable, network, talk to people, share stories, ask questions. That will be led by Don Bishop. And then we have 2 full days of educational sessions about DNN. Lots of opportunities to meet people, to talk, to network, and do all of those sorts of things. And again, if you register by January 6th, you can save some money on the cost of the event.
Awesome. To add to that, Joe, I just finished about a week ago going through the conversations, the interviews, the talks that I had with different presenters. So there are in total 5 talks. The last one is coming live next week and next week during the holidays. But again, if you want to check what those sessions are all about, I make sure that I mark down what is the one thing that you can take away from each one of those sessions, and you can just have a 1 minute, quick snippet of what the presenter is, talking about during that session and what they want you to leave that session knowing about that particular topic. So I'm sharing that link for the talks with you guys as well.
Yeah, I'm even in one of those. And
you are, and David as well.
One of my talks will be an expansion on what is the DNN community and what you should know and what you can get out of being part of the community and how to participate in it. I can't remember what David is talking about, but it's always fun.
Okay. David, do we want to? I'm wrapping up here, DNN Summit. Do you want to mention anything?
Well, speaking of DNN Summit, one of the people that we met at DNN Summit, well, I guess that's really where we met, I'm not really sure, is Kyle Daly from Manage.com. And the Southern Fried Crew would like to send out a wish for speedy recovery to Kyle, who has had some issues recently, but we're looking forward to a speedy recovery. So
that's what we wish as well, Kyle. All the best and a quick recovery there. I was not aware of that. Okay.
Relationships. Build some great relationships with these conferences, right? Like what Giff was talking about.
Awesome.
So Giff, we hope to see you at this conference now. We expect to build our relationships with you.
Yes. And by the way, Gifford had to jump off. He had a meeting, and we are going a little bit over time here. And so again, Gifford, I really appreciate your time here. But I'm not let you guys go yet. I still have a few more things to mention.
No, let me just add on to the relationship part. There are some faces you will see at DNN Summit who you haven't seen for a few years, and I'm especially thinking of Jeff Hardy. That this community is something that people come back to, even if they are not involved on a daily basis. So.
Jeff Hardy, he has some deep shirt to share with us. You know?
Yes.
Anyway, moving on here, let's wrap this up. One module that I came across, I mean, I was not aware of this wall chart module. It's a module to plot charts with on DNN. I mean, it's not new. It's going on for a little while. Actually, I haven't heard from this organization, WI Professional Services. They have some modules on DNN, and this module is listed as the top seller of the past 2 weeks. So I don't know how that top seller list is built up. Maybe I think that there is also number of units. So I don't know. Someone is buying this module here, which brought it up all the way to the top. So wall charts seems very nice. No, I had a look at their demos, and hey, if you have some data to present, this might be a good call. No, use this module. I like that. Coming towards an end here. DNN tip of the week. I just want to plug quickly here. Every week I put out a new tip of the week about DNN, about something that I came across, or something that like my friend Joe shared with me on how to reinstate the install multiple modules. I mean, that was a tip from Joe, and some of those tips, they come from questions from people watching tips and say, hey, I need to know about this, or I need to know about that, and how about you ask me, probe me. Maybe I'm full of BS. Maybe I don't know how to do those things. Maybe I do. Who knows? But give it a try. Send me your question, and I might be able to answer that. If I'm able to answer that, I will create a tip of the week, and I will give you a plug. I'll give you credit for. And actually, if you know a tip, give it to me. Tell me the tip. I'll give you credit for it as well. Like the one that I put together on how to add a page to Persona Bar. This is not a tip from my head. This is a tip that I read from Bogdan Litescu's blog post. And again, I credit him. I don't take credit for what is not, that didn't come from my head, So again, DNN tip of the week. Here is the link that you can see all the tips. I'm wrapping up here. I just want to go around. David, as you said, I mean, you're going to be quiet there, but you are not quiet. So I'm going to ask you, what's exciting? What's new? What's something that is keeping you awake at night? Aside from the bills, aside from Christmas bills, what is keeping you up at night?
Well, I mean, there's so much to be excited about right now. It's starting to feel, like I'm being a little nostalgic in the DNN space now. So it's like it used to be, and so many little great things going on in pockets around, some more publicly visible than others, and some not. It's just great to see the energy. So I'm real excited about it. So I loved your question earlier about, should someone be building a module or revitalizing a module or some extension of DNN in the space now? And that's definitely a question that keeps me going recently. So.
Awesome. Joe, aside from that site that never finished the upgrade, that you have 1 billion spam users, anything new and exciting in your world there?
Well, since we talked last, there are now 2 of those upgrades. I'm disappointed we didn't get to the big data discussion.
No.
Are we not? Are we going to get there?
No, I'm gonna. That's my piece. I first I go around you guys, and then I go and do my piece.
Well, I think along with David, there's just not only energy, but a fair amount of creativity that I see surfacing in the community, and I think. Things like people who had submitted pull requests when they were teenagers are now seeing them actually going to be in the DNN platform, and that's encouraging people to submit more requests. And was it yours, David, that was tested and accepted and approved within minutes of your submitting it?
Not sure if I'm touching localization, but
But yeah, just this whole notion that the focus from DNN Corporation, at least for this year and going into next year, is getting their act together and not letting things slide. So that's and going back and working off backlogs of things like pull requests and bug reports and that sort of thing. So that's really nice to see, and it's terrific for those of us who dig into the innards from time to time. You know, may not be visible to the outside world, but it certainly makes for a better product. In terms of modules and things like that, I hope that as some of the technology issues get resolved and solidified, that people who sell modules for a living will be encouraged to go back to their modules and re-architect them for the 21st century.
I get it. No, great point there. Great point there. What I see lately is that a lot of, I'm gonna call the old generation module developers, they are open sourcing their older modules, and that's a trend that I see happening quite a lot. You know, I can mention a few cases of that happening lately. You know, and who knows, maybe a new generation will pick up on those modules and bring them up to current standards. Let me say my piece here. Just wanted to quickly mention how exciting was that conversation with those students in France that they were talking via Twitter. That it was very exciting to see, fresh new blood, young bloods get interested in the platform again. So again, very, very good to see that happening. I don't know if there were any follow-ups after that happened behind the scenes, but I wonder if there is a happy ending to that conversation there. Do you know anything, David, about that?
I do know that there's a couple of conversations with Frick students going on, so I'm not sure if they're in the same university or what's going on there, but that there must be a big assignment or something that relates to DNN. So it's really nice to see the chatter. They got a lot of support on Twitter. That's really, really nice of the community to jump in like that.
Awesome. Guys, my piece here, what's new exciting to me, about 2 weeks ago, I've attended a data science course, a 6 hours data science course. And let me tell you, I was so excited with the topic, with the subject. It was so fascinating to me. And to see a language like Python, which I've never touched before, not only to see that it's quite easy to pick up, but it's very, very powerful to analyze data quickly. With a line of code, you can get averages, get a whole bunch of stats about your data that you can draw insights that can help driving decisions, marketing decisions, business decisions. Let me tell you, it might be my pet project, for 2018 is to get more into data science, into Python. I was not looking forward to do more coding, but that got me excited to do some coding again. So just want to mention that, and hopefully I can tie this back somehow into our little, cozy DNN space, DNN and data science.
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Awesome.
Back in the archives of the Southern Fried DNN user group, Nick Cagliani, maybe 2 years ago, spent about an hour talking about a Microsoft set of I'm not sure how to describe it, but a workbench or a workshop that made available all kinds of data science tools, from decision trees to 457 varieties of neural networks and other things. I played with it for a couple of days. Very easy to use, no coding. And it kind of took me back about 25 years to when I had spent probably 5 or 6 years of my life doing research into those sorts of things.
Awesome.
But the difference between 25 or 30 years ago and today is we put the big in big data, and we have the resources to handle extremely large data sets.
The power, yep, the power of the data. So yeah, so again, looking forward to maybe DNN Summit 2019. I might be talking about big data and data science and DNN. Who knows? Maybe.
I'd be happy just to talk about big DNN, but that's different.
We can call it big DNN. That's fine, guys. Anything else? Can we wrap this up? Joe, David?
Sure.
Awesome, guys. Again, thank you very much. I just want to, leave my thank you here to Scott and Gifford as well. Gifford, thank you very much for joining us today and come in anytime you want. I hope that we can see you during DNN Summit 2018. What else can I say? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Looking forward to a brand new 2018 with the new DNN Corp, with a resurgence of excitement and connecting with all of you guys during DNN Summit. See you in 2018. Happy holidays. Bye.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.